Hi, this is Charles Kelly, Money Tips Podcast. Today I want to give you a simple hack to improve everything in your life, not just about money, but everything from your dating, your relationships and business, and right across the board. Now, Peter Drucker, the great management consultant, said that if you can't measure it, you cannot improve it, right? You can't measure it, you can't improve it. And obviously he was talking about business figures and management and that sort of thing. But this can apply to any area in your life. Many years ago, I was called into a company to help with their marketing. But when I got in there, I found that, they weren't measuring anything. They weren't measuring their marketing. They weren't measuring the results of any part of their business. And when I talked to the management heads about KPIs, they didn't know what I was talking about. What's KPIs? I know you know about it, right? I know everybody knows what a KPI is. Key performance indicator. It's a very old basic form of measurement. And this is where you would say, let's say you had a sales team, keep it simple here. You would say to that sales team, well, let's measure how many phone calls you're making in the day, how many visits you're making, how many customer appointments you're making, how many sales you've made, obviously, how many referrals you got from those sales, how many follow-up calls have you done? It's very simple, but this company were not doing any of it. And in fact, two of the managers didn't like the fact that we were then asking for figures on their sales figures and that sort of very simple things. So I know what it's like, and it's not just about sales calls. It's measuring everything in your business. So in your business, you should know, your cash flow figures, your expenses, or what needs to be made every month, your minimum figures, and so on, and how many customers you've got, what's your backlog of orders, how many people have you got in the pipeline when you're approaching people for business, all these things. And I think if you're running a business, you probably know these things already, but whether you're applying them in your business is another matter, because a lot of businesses are run by entrepreneurs who think that they are the business, and because you can't take them out of the business, it's very difficult to sell that business on to another company, because they are the business and most of it is in their head. Now, these KPIs can apply to life management, in your life. For instance, there was an article the other day about people who take someone back in a relationship. When someone cheats on them and they take them back, they're laying down new rules of the game. And one of those rules is a thing called a 777. Now, that's not an aeroplane, by the way. 777, I think it roughly stands for, every 7 days you go out on a date. So if you're in a marriage, for instance, you've got children, you may have stopped dating. So every 7 days you go out on a date, every 7 weeks you do this, and so on. Every 7 months you do that. So it's a good way of keeping things in check. And basically, these are just numbers, right? You could apply this to weight management. When I was trying to lose weight, and I did successfully lose 10 kilos a couple of years back, I was measuring my weight every day. I would hop on the scales in the morning and, write it down. And then every day you could see your progress. And it's amazing what difference that made. Just that little trick of measuring it, just writing it down, made a big difference, and the weight started to come off. And if you had a bad week or something, you ate the wrong things, you'd see, oh, it's gone up a little bit. Oh, I've got to watch that. And then I got down to a weight, and about 9 months, a year ago, I sort of stopped. I got fed up with it. I thought, well, I'm okay now. I feel good. I feel trim. I've actually bought new clothes at a smaller size, and I feel great. I thought, I don't worry about it. And what's happened? My weight started to creep back on, surprisingly enough. And I can feel it, and I almost didn't want to go back to measuring it, and didn't go back to weighing myself, because I thought, oh no, it's going to be bad news. And then I measured myself today, and in fact, I've gained 2 kilos since I stopped measuring my weight. 2 kilos, which is a lot. So what did I do today? I'm measuring it, and tomorrow I'll be measuring it again. I'll be keeping that going. And you can measure a lot of these things on your phone, right? You've got usually an app on your phone. In my case, it's the iPhone. So it's this one. It's the heart app. It's the heart. So you can't see that, can you? It's the one that's got the heart symbol, and it's actually free, so it can measure your steps. Now, I used to measure my steps every day, and that's another problem. I've stopped that in the last 6 months. I thought, oh, I don't worry about it. I'll do it today. I'll do it, and that's made a difference as well. So it's very important to measure things, especially if you want to stay healthy. Your health's obviously very important. So do you measure your blood pressure, for instance? Have you got one of those machines at home to measure your blood pressure? Do you measure how many steps you're taking every day? Do you measure, your weight and that sort of thing? So I'm not saying to be obsessed about this and be obsessive about it, but it is quite an important thing, obviously. So just keeping a track on things, even if you just do it weekly, your weekly weight. I mean, if you were going to a Weight Watchers kind of school to lose weight, the first thing they would do is measure you. They put you on the scales and measure your weight. And by doing that every week, that's one of the main reasons why people do lose weight in these kind of clubs, as opposed to trying to do it themselves on their own. It's a bit like having a coach or a mentor or an accountability group to keep you on track. And that's what mastermind groups do as well. So another thing is journaling, making a note of what you've done today, what's gone right, what's gone wrong, what you could have done better, and what you're going to do tomorrow. And all successful people that I know do some form of journaling. Oprah Winfrey is a famous journaler. Now, does she need to journal now? She's a billionaire. She doesn't need to do anything, but she still does it. Why? Because she wants to maintain her performance in life. And very successful people look at that. They have coaches to help keep them on track. They're very focused on their performance in all areas of life. They would want to be sure that their relationships are going well, that their business is going well, that their health is going well. Are they doing the things that get them to be healthy, that the same things they need to keep doing to keep them that way? If they've done things to make them successful and reach the top, they have to do things to keep them at the top, right? So they're very focused on improving these things and measuring things and journaling. Now, when it comes to your money, you should also have key performance indicators, key figures. And these could be very, very simple figures. They could be things like, what percentage of your income do you need to live on? What percentage do you need for your necessities? What are your fixed costs every month? And this is what this would be an obvious one for a business on a balance sheet or a cash flow forecast. What are your fixed costs? That's a very good number to know. How much do you need every month to pay your rent or your mortgage, your basic utility bills, and these sort of fixed costs? And in a business, it could be the rent paid on the office, the staff, and that's what these are fixed costs. You need to know these numbers. Like, what percentage of your income are you saving, for instance? So all of these numbers are important. If just by keeping a track on 3 or 4 numbers can make a huge difference to your financial world. Now, are you in a position where you ever say to yourself, I don't know where it all goes, or I've never seemed to have enough money, I can't seem to do the things I want? Are you in that position? Because if you are, I'm sure it's not a nice position to be in. It's not nice, for instance, to have to tell your son or daughter, you can't have those football boots that you want. You have to have these cheaper ones, and they have to go in and they're embarrassed because their friends have got more expensive boots. Now, I say this because I've been watching the Women's World Cup recently, and England are doing well. They've got to meet Australia next week. They've just beaten Colombia. So good luck to the Lionesses. But if your daughter sees them and they see a certain boot they're wearing and they want to have that same boot, then you want to be able to afford to do that. Now, a lot of people think money management is all about living cheap and miserly and not doing anything that you enjoy, but that's not true at all. You can be rich, but live rich now so that you can be rich in the future. And living rich doesn't mean blowing all your money on fast cars. So I want to show you how you can be wealthy, be successful, have enough money in your account all the time. And if you're interested in that and you want to come with me, then I'm running a webinar this Wednesday coming at 8 p.m. and I'm going to put a link up in the description here. But I want you to join me on that webinar, and I will give you 3 steps to successful money management and building a long-term future towards financial freedom, but also not just financial freedom in the future, but financial freedom now, so that you can live properly and be free of all those money worries that you probably have right now. So if you're serious about this, join me on that webinar next Wednesday evening, and I'll see you there. Thanks very much, and bye for now.